Okay, let me talk about maybe two things. Here, I won't do much code. I'm just gonna mention this. Basically, it's about the fact about that we can override methods and overload. This is similar to the stuff that we discussed when we're dealing with methods, right? So let's just look at the definitions here. It says to override a method, the method must be defined in the subclass using the same signature and the same return type as in its superclass. And overloading, overloading means to define a multiple method with the same name but different signatures. Okay, so what happened here is between the superclass and the subclass, we're gonna have basically methods with the same name, right? And that's kind of like what we have on the next page. Let me just move there. And here in this, on the left side, we have a case of overriding. Okay, so here we have a class B, right? And this class has a method. It's called P, right? And the method has one argument of the double type, I. And basically, you just pass a number, it's going to multiply that number by 2. Right? That's kind of like what it does. And here I have a class A that extends B. Okay? And notice that here we have the same method, P. Right? I just want to override the method in the superclass. I don't want this to multiply my number by 2 anymore. What I want this method to do is technically print I. Okay? So when this class A calls this method, basically this is what it's going to do. It's not going to do this because it overrides that. However, let's say that I delete this method, right? Delete this method P, and I call a.p, right? I just gonna call this method, then this is what is gonna happen. Okay. Okay, and then here, maybe I can. Okay, so here you can see that basically I just created an object called a, and then when I call a.p, technically I can override this method, right? So, why don't you type this code and try it and see how it works. Here I have an overload. Okay, so in this case I have a method in my superclass called p, and here I have a method with a different signature or different argument or different signature with an integer called I. Okay, so in the first one, if you run this guy and you put a 10, you might have problems. But here I have an integer and a double. Okay, so with an integer, it's gonna look for this method, and with a double, technically, it's gonna like ignore this method and then just go to the superclass and do this one, right? So I kind of like overloading this method, right? I just have the same method, p, right, with different arguments. And when you make the two calls, for this guy, it's just gonna look for, in this case, for this guy because it's gonna match the argument. This guy doesn't match the argument, so it's gonna keep looking, and then it will just go to the superclass, right? So you can look at that. That's basically the difference between override and overload.